So this video is for anyone who is studying for the EPPP, thinking about taking the EPPP, need to be studying for the EPPP, but is on TikTok right now. My name is Camille. I'm a licensed psychologist here in Georgia, and I just took the EPPP in February 2024. This video is going to be my study plan and also the results for my pre-assessment. I did not do any prep for the pre-assessment. Postdoc supervisor had already informed me that the average person gets about a 40% on their pre-assessment. In the abnormal category, I got 35%. That was a dagger. That shot me through the chest. Clinical, I got 39%. Ethics was 62%. I was pretty proud of that, but I also was a little disappointed. Lifespan, 42%. Psychopharm, 50%. IO, 37%. Learning theory, 52%. Research design, 61%. Social psych, 80%. Assessment, 30%. Test construction, 50%. People in general had told me that basically they studied for about 3 months. That seemed to be the sweet spot for how long to study. First thing that I did was I took notes throughout my pre-assessment. So I wanted to be in tune with myself as much as possible as I was taking the pre-assessment, and I get distracted. Here are the notes that I took. First, one theme that came up among the questions that I was getting incorrect was I didn't know the content. I just didn't know the answer. Whether I don't understand what you're asking or I can't rule out some other thing, but I don't know the answer. Another experience that I had taking the pre-assessment that I had to make note of was second guessing myself without processing why. So at the last minute, I would find myself changing answers. I'd never checked in with myself about why. It would almost be this just impulsive decision that I made. Like I wasn't giving myself a reason. There was no reason. I didn't have one. I didn't know one. I didn't process that. So the next note that I have here is reminding myself that there were no tricks. I think they want me to say this, but I think it's that. There are no tricks. The next thing I have here is do not add or remove information. Maybe the question's asking about competency, and I'm like, oh, well, I mean, if they're in a rural area, like then, and it's like, girl, nobody said nothing about a rural area. Where are you getting that from? You didn't read it anywhere, so where are you getting it from? I also noticed that I checked out around question number 160. It was important for me to know at what point do I kind of start checking out. One, I knew I wasn't taking a practice test every week. Are you crazy? I'm not doing that. That's insane. So start practicing how to recoup and get myself back together after kind of mentally starting to check out. In terms of my study plan, I started studying October 2023. These 6 books were included in the study package. You are instructed to read the books in order, and I would echo that. I broke down each book by the day that I would read and when they would be completed. I took a look at how long the chapters were, and then I just broke them down by the time frame I needed to have the book finished. I worked backward from my exam date. How many weeks do I want to spend with the books completed and just studying? To be honest, it didn't end up working out the way that I originally planned, but I was open with myself and flexible throughout the process, and it ended up working out just fine. You don't just freeball into the study experience. What do you want to accomplish and what days do you want to do it? I broke down the time, days, notes, and when I was going to do outlines, when I was going to work on flashcards. And throughout the study process, I listened to audio lectures, whether I was driving to work or going on a road trip or whatever, cooking. I would put my AirPods in and listen to audio lecture. Also found that to be helpful. I also used a whiteboard when needed to write down some content areas or questions that stuck out to me that I got wrong, that either I felt like, oh, you should definitely know that, or something that was so far left field, I didn't even know why I was on the exam. Put them on a whiteboard, like wrote them on my whiteboard, and then I wrote them down over the the next few months. I could then check back in with, aha, that's that thing that I got wrong on the pre-assessment. Attempted to make lectures as if I was teaching a class to somebody, or if I was going to be teaching my partner or my mom or, a sister. I never finished the lecture. It didn't work out for me. So I'm not going to hold you. I didn't want to pay for PowerPoint. My PowerPoint expired and I don't get PowerPoint at my job. That was like 99% of why I never finished the lecture. But it also, I realized, wasn't really helping me, but that doesn't mean that it won't be helpful for you. In addition to that, I also did practice tests in order. I think I took 4.5 practice tests overall. For example, as the first test date approached for my practice test, I hadn't finished all the books. So I knew that I wasn't going to do well, and I just didn't feel like that was going to help me. I started to take sections of practice tests. I would start with questions from domains that I had already completed. I took the section quizzes immediately after, and I did find that to be helpful as a way to check in with myself about what information was important and also what information stuck and whatever information kind of like bleh. About the last 4 to 5 weeks, just consistently took practice test questions, and it was recommended to me to complete 30 questions a day. And so I tried my best to stick to that as often as possible. Whether I got through 15 in the morning and then 15 at the end of the day, take note of your strengths and weaknesses and just be honest with yourself and use your time wisely. I just didn't feel like it was worth it to spend equal amounts of time on every single domain. I wouldn't recommend you do that either. After I completed the books, I found the domain quizzes to be very helpful as well. Another thing that helped me was grading answers as I was taking practice questions. And that basically just means, okay, this is a good answer. This could possibly be the answer to the question. That was the plus sign. Minus sign is this is out. And then the question mark would be, still thinking about this one. Forced me to process and actually sit with and think about, what are you saying? What are you thinking? What's going on in your mind? Look out for questions that include absolutes, never, always, must, things like that. Here are the flashcards. Oppositional defiant disorder. It has the diagnostic criteria for oppositional defiant disorder, and on the front you can see I wrote a couple of important notes, and those notes were not a sibling, temper, refusal, arguing. Last but not least, you're looking for the best answer. And the best answer might not necessarily be correct. You're looking for the best answer amongst the options provided. And sometimes the best answer is not always exactly correct per se. That took me a while. Just be patient with yourself and be disciplined and get strict. It sucks, but you can do it, and stay committed and stay positive.